good evening, everyone. I'm Priya Sheth, and you're with me on the Daily Dispatch. Now, let me quickly update you with all the top news stories in the startup world today. And topping the charts is CoinSwitch Kuber, Nazara, as well as Delivery. Well, headline number one, the second cryptocurrency startup to become a unicorn this year is CoinSwitch Kuber. It announced a $269 million Series C round of funding, and with this valuation of about $1.9 billion, CoinSwitch Kuber will deploy the funds to onboard about 50 million Indians on the platform and introduce new crypto products. Headline number two, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala-backed Nazara Technologies has raised about 315 crore rupees from marquee institutional investors. The company plans to use these funds to invest in the growth initiatives as well as pursue strategic acquisitions across various business verticals, which include gamified learning, freemium, skill-based real money gaming, as well as esports. And finally, ahead of its initial public offering, reports suggest that logistics unicorn Delivery shareholders have approved the conversion of the startup into a public company. The logistics unicorn is aiming for a $1 billion IPO and is likely to file its DRHP later this month. Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me our Power Packs panel, and they're here to discuss with us a little bit about the male grooming space. We have experts in the field. We have Shantanu Deshpande from the Bobby Shaving Company, and we have Mr. Hitesh Dhingra from the Man Company. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today. I want to begin by talking to you about the big surge that we've seen in the whole male grooming category. We're seeing a lot of buyers out there, a lot of activity. So tell us a little bit about how the last couple of months have been, and has the pandemic really made people a little bit more conscious about their appearances? I want to begin with you, Hitesh.
No, I think it's an interesting category to be in. So when we started out 6 years back, there were hardly any players. So it was a complete blue ocean opportunity where there were few mass market brands, but there was nothing which was offering a head to toe for Indian men, right? And that's where we realized that there's probably an opportunity to create India's first experiential brand exclusively for men. I think since then, obviously, we've grown exponentially. Last year, despite of COVID, the e-commerce business has grown almost 200%. So offline obviously took a hit because of lockdown, but I think in last couple of months we have seen offline also kind of hitting back really well, coming back really well. And as a business, we have been growing almost 20% month on month in last quarter. Right, so that's been the growth, and this quarter generally is good for the beauty category, and being a Diwali festive season, so we are expecting to at least double up our revenues from July, August, September quarter in OND.
Right, I'm going to come to you about the festive expectations, a little more details on that. But Shantanu, tell us a little bit about how your last couple of months have been.
So I think pandemic has been tragic for the country, but the one silver lining as a business is that it's been very good for companies who do online business as well. Everyone is working from home, so the only real thing you spend on is your face. So that works for a company that makes shaving products and so on, because men will then kind of index on making their face look good. Plus, it's easier to compete with companies like Gillette and Nivea on Amazon and on D2C as opposed to in India's 4 million retail outlets, right? So that way it was good. There was a significant amount of turbocharging external elements that helped us grow. Of course, we, I think, used the time in the last 1 year to kind of get our offline game right. Having investors like Colgate and Reckitt, who have massive penetration footprints in offline, we kind of used the time to build relationships, go into stores, figure out our merchandising strategy, figure out our assortment strategy, figure out what hero SKUs work in what kind of retail environment to kind of set the base. And today, offline almost, as stores are opening up, offline is accounting for almost 30-35% of our, we are now clocking almost 16 to 17 crores monthly in terms of gross revenue, right? So we have grown. This is much higher, like this is almost 4.5 times higher than what we would do at the same time last year. So I think growth has been good. We have invested significantly in building out our teams. We realize, and I look up to Hitesh and what they've done at Man Company a lot, right? I think they have really cracked gifting. They've cracked so many amazing product categories for us. We look up to the way they do things. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for companies to find where to play and then do it far better than large incumbents who have not innovated and kind of just been very slow. And we are trying to do that in the shaving space, in the overall facial care space. And incidentally, COVID also, because we are so good at shaving and we have equity in that space. The women in our company launched our women's range, which is now accounting for almost 25% of our overall revenues, which is quite awesome, right? And women is like an ocean. The male consumer is a pond, right? So I think we are now moving into hair management and hair, that kind of a business as opposed to a men's grooming business, which is an interesting way forward. So like a lot of things have worked for us, and very excited about the future.
Right, Shantanu, you alluded to a very important aspect which I was going to touch upon in the next question, which is basically having a backing of very strong investors, corporates at large, and both of you, have very strong backers. So, Hitesh, tell us a little bit about what it really means to have such a big player like an Emami, who's on board, who's an investor, and how it helps the company scale up, significantly.
Look, so I think Emami has been a great partner. So they invested first in the company in 2017. We were still doing like 80 lakhs, 1 CR a month kind of a revenue. And the business has grown almost 10, 12x since then, right? So in terms of, I think, strategic inputs, they've added a lot of value in terms of R&D, in terms of getting the products right, in terms of making sure that we have a right offline strategy, because offline is a very, very different ballgame, as Shantanu also mentioned. And none of us in the core team had any offline retail experience, right? So when we decided to get into it, they actually handhold us. So we still ended up building our own channel, but they still ended up handholding us in terms of how to structure the commercials for offline retailers, right? So who end up asking a lot more than online players, and there's this no one definite margin that you expect them to charge. So I think in that aspect, they really helped us. Even when we were getting Ayushmann Khurrana on board as a celebrity, so Emami, I think, has worked with more than 60 celebrities since they started. So almost everyone in the Bollywood. So they had good enough experience and used their team's experience in negotiating and helping us in getting the right deal for the brand. So I think it's not specific to one thing, but overall, yes, they have been adding a lot of value, which we believe is probably a lot more than a typical VC or investor would do, right? Considering, they come from this space, they understand the customer segment really well, and they understand the commercials really well.
All right, Shantanu, is it only the offline strategy that's been a game changer for you, having these investors on board? What else has been the advantage of having such a prominent investor, a player like Reckitt, on board as well?
Yeah, I think we have two global, and these are investments made from the global HOs. They're not from the India office, right? So this is Reckitt from Slough near London, and Colgate-Palmolive from Hong Kong and New York, right? So I think outstanding companies. They're both $80 billion plus in market cap, $15-20 billion in revenue globally, have massive India setups as well. 200 plus years old each. So brand equity is in not only Colgate-Palmolive, but Reckitt also has Harpic, Lysol, Durex, so on, right? So they are able to understand retail environments, multiple categories, building for the decades, super cash rich, right? So, $3 to $4 billion annually free cash flow. So what do you do with the money, right? So and we are the only investment for both of them in India. So when you have that kind of backing, I think there is one of the big mental blocks for founders, and Hitesh probably will concur, is mortality risk, right? As a startup, you always are wondering, at what point do you really stand a chance of surviving for the ages? Where is your next source of capital? When you have guys like that on board, you never worry about it, because for them, you are so small that let it make, as long as you're doing the right things and growing, you're never worried about money, which is huge. Of course, like they said, I think offline, it's amazing how quickly we can activate a city, a state, are able to understand let's say if you go to Indore, what are the 5,000 stores there which are relevant for us? Which store, what kind of products sell? So what is our merchandising strategy? Who are the guys who can do merchandising for us? Where do we recruit a sales officer from? How do we do the interviews? We integrate so closely with the Colgate, Colgate more than Reckitt, because Reckitt is a newer relationship. But they're absolutely brilliant in treating us as a sister concern. They have an elder brother kind of view to, this is a young company, small startup. Let's help them out. We are the big brothers. And it's amazing how when that happens, India is a country that business runs on relationships, right? So when Colgate is treating you as a sister concern in front of the external world, whether it's a tube manufacturer, whether it's a distributor, whether it's a modern trade or procurement manager, or whoever it might be, that halo effect is massive. Of course, strategy and activations and all of that execution we do with them, but I think just emotionally, it makes a huge difference. I think for me as a founder, the fact that they're on the cap table, the fact that they are minority investors, the fact that they have long-term view on us, is hugely beneficial. I think capital is a commodity, to be very honest. Uh, what the value they add is probably 10 times more.
Right, Hitesh, I want to talk to you a little bit about the festive season. What kind of expectations? A lot of brands are having sales, platforms are having sales. You have an Amazon and a Myntra, and so many platforms out there also going with their big festive sales. So, what kind of expectations, considering gifting is a big part of your overall portfolio? Give us some perspective onto that, please.
Yes, so I think exciting time. So it has started on a good note. So Flipkart, Amazon started their event couple of days back for Prime members and Flipkart Plus member. And yesterday was the first day, and we already saw some 6x growth over normal BAUs. So which is an exciting start, and it's a month-long activity, month-long event. So hoping for the best. But yes, I think October, November, December generally is good for the category because and I mean, keeping our fingers crossed, let's hope that third wave doesn't really happen and people start stepping out, which means that they start consuming a lot more of grooming products, good for business. But yes, we are already seeing the signs, right? So I think we already see that the average ticket size is increasing. Categories like fragrance, right? So which you generally use when you're stepping out. The consumption, the buying of these categories is going up. Gifting for us is a big category because women still remain one of the main influencers when it comes to men's grooming, right? So women end up buying the products and gifting it to men in their lives. So obviously, I think we have this feature on our website which went live a couple of months back, CYOB. So create your own box. So as a customer, you can create your own box, curate different products. You can have it personalized with a personalized message, card, ribbon, etc. Right, and then send it. And we see almost 20-25% of our consumers on our website are actually women, right? So who want to buy these gift box and gift it to men in their life. So yeah, so expecting OND has been the best quarter since we started this business 6 years back. And expecting that this year, I think it should be a blockbuster because there's a lot of I think demand which is pent up, right? So and people are looking to spend more on these products. So not just online, I think we've already started seeing the traction offline as well, more so in our EBO format. So we've got some 30 of our own stores, and there we are already seeing gifting taking off really well.
All right, Shantanu, blockbuster festive season for you too. What expectations are there, and which categories do you expect to really be doing well for you?
I agree more with Hitesh. I think OND will be big. We look up to Man Company a lot when it comes to gifting because they do a stand-up job on creating really cool offerings for consumers. So we try to emulate some of that in our categories of shaving and so on. I think personalization and Diwali, Christmas. I think this is also a wedding season where a lot of weddings that were cancelled last year will probably happen now. So we are looking at almost a 2x volume in terms of weddings this quarter and extending into Jan Feb, by the way. So, I think not only the platforms will invest in creating traffic and so on. I think just for the next few days, and then Nykaa will have a sale. I think probably sometime end of the month or in November. Can't wait for consumers to start adding to cart and buying stuff.
All right. On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on this panel discussion. I think lots of interesting takeaways for our audiences, and we're hoping everyone shops a lot and adds a lot of products to their carts this festive season. Thanks so much for your time. with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll catch you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Goodbye and stay safe.